Hi guys, welcome. It's BoldTV and it's also the real BoldTV. So long time no see. How's everybody doing? So today I'm just gonna get into a short story. This is gonna be the part one of the story. The story is in regards to a woman that gave birth to, had a baby, and then basically took the baby and left the baby at the children's home. Anyways, let me start from the beginning. Anyways, guys, this is a very true story. This is a true story. This is part one, and then part two is gonna be. Let's finish the part one first. Oh my god. Okay, let me start from the beginning. It's a real life story. Okay, so I think I should give them a few characters. Let me get three characters. Let's call the woman Rose, and let's call the baby James. Okay, so Rose, basically the lady Rose, she lived out of town, basically in the village, and then after she completed her high school, she decided that she wanted to go to the city to look for some jobs, and it's very common sometimes back home when kids basically sometimes they'll just finish elementary school, or at times it's high school, and that is because the family cannot afford to pay for their college or university tuition. And then what they will do is they will just go out of town, or sometimes they'll go to the big city and to look for a job, and at times it's not really a good paying job. At times it's just housekeeping job or babysitting. That's what usually they will get, because of course they don't have proper certification or proper experience to get a proper job, right? So most family will do that, and it's usually families from low income homes, right? So in this situation, Rose left her village to go to the city to look for a job, right? So of course she came to the city. She met up with three guys. She met three guys. I think the three guys were sharing an apartment. So the three guys were sharing an apartment, but she had a job close by. But then of course she kept talking to these guys, but then she was more close with one of the guys, because the guy is very funny. So he was very close. They started being very close with the guy, and the guy told her, why don't you move to our apartment? So she actually moved into the apartment where the three friends lived. And then of course she even stopped going to work. Anytime when it's the end of the month, the guy who's now the boyfriend will give her money for her to send to her parents. So the parents will receive money from her, every end of the month. They thought that she was working, but apparently she is not. She's living at this guy's house, and this guy lives with other two friends. So anyway, so life goes on. She's enjoying the big city and all that stuff. And then of course she found out that she was pregnant. And then when she did find out that she was pregnant, she called her mom. She told her mom what happened. No, actually she went to the village to see the mom. And I think back in the day, not a lot of people had, of course most people didn't have cell phone, and they usually have landline, and most families didn't have landline. But at times when, if it's a shopkeeper that has the landline telephone, or if it's a neighbor, and then you can just send a message to tell whoever you want to speak to come and wait at the neighbor's house, or they can go wait at the store, the local shops where you can go and receive the call. So anyways, in this particular issue, she decided that she wanted to go home. So She went home and she met her mom and she told her mom what happened. Of course, the mom spoke with the dad, and then it turns out that the guy she was dating is not of the same tribe as her. And then apparently back in the day, if you are not of the same tribe, then you guys cannot marry. So her parents told her, you are not of the same tribe, so you cannot marry. Actually, I missed part of this story. I wasn't sure whether she was already pregnant or she was not. But anywho, either way, the family said no to the proposal. You cannot, marry the guy. You need to go back to the city and continue with your work. Focus on your work. Forget about the guy. He's not from your tribe. You cannot marry the guy. So anyways, so she decided to come back to the city. And then when she came to the city, she went to that house where the boyfriend lived with two friends. She could not find, oh wait, hold on. She went back and found him. Hold on, I'm jumping, I'm going ahead of my, okay, let me get back, let me calm down. So anyways, once she left the village, she went back to that house. She found her boyfriend, and she told the boyfriend that, you know what, my family said no, we cannot get married because you're from a different tribe. So unfortunately, we have to dissolve the relationship. And back then, it's not like now. Back then, people really listen to their parents. It's not like right now. Besides African culture, it's very important to listen to the elders and whatnot. But because the parents said no, they actually abide by it. Like these days, even though a parent says no, the couples might just decide to elope. They can leave the family and forget about the family. They can go, live their lives. But back in the day, kids were respectful. Back then, young people were respectful. When a parent says no to a situation, they are not going to proceed with it. So in this particular situation, when the parents of this girl told her no, she cannot marry the guy because they are not from the same tribe, she listened. So when she went back to the city, met the guy and told him that, you know what, my parents said no because you're from a different tribe, we cannot, marry. We cannot continue with this relationship. And then the guy told her, you know what, I understand. And the guy was also the same. He follows whatever the girl was saying, but also back in the day, people listened to their parents. What an elder said, kids will follow, or the youth will follow. So the guy told her, no, that's okay, he understands. And then she did tell her that he's gonna be leaving the city. She's gonna be moving to a different city, I guess for more opportunity that he's trying to venture for. And the girl said, yeah, no problem. I'm also gonna continue with my work. So that's it. They decided to end the relationship amicably. So when the guy left for Mombasa and this girl stayed behind, that's when she found out that she was pregnant, right? So she told her friends that she was leaving, which is like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? My parents said no to the proposal, we cannot marry, but now I found out that I'm pregnant. So you know what? I'm just gonna look for the guy. At least, even though they said no, we will just have to move in, because what am I gonna do with the child? So anyways, the friends told her that, you know what, that's a good idea. So then she went back to the house where the guy and the boyfriend and the two friends were living. And then when she got there, the door was closed. She asked around, asked the neighbors, the landlord, and she was told that, oh, they left, they moved to a different city. So she was so, so sad and so confused, and now she's pregnant. So at this point, she's also afraid of going back to her village, because her family told her no to this guy, because she cannot marry the guy. They are not from the same tribe. And now she's pregnant. How can she go back to her family home? So she refused to go back to the village. So her friend told her that, you know what, you can just stay in the city. Let's just continue to do what we can do and see what happens. So anyway, she continued to stay in the city, hustling. Once in a while, she'll go back to the house. Still, she could not find a boyfriend. And of course, back in the day, people didn't have cell phone. If the guy had cell phone, she could just, she would have called him. But obviously, there was no contact. She's never been to that city that the guy moved to. So it was just like a crazy thing. So of course, until one day she was ready to deliver. And then of course, she didn't have money or anything. Okay, hold on, I'm coming back, guys. All right, so let's continue from where we stopped. Yeah, so of course she was getting, you know, she got into labor, about to deliver. So her friends helped her. You know, they ran, called neighbors and everybody to help see if they can take her to the hospital. And obviously, before they go to the hospital, even before the ambulance arrived, she decided that they should continue to work while they waited, because back in the days, not like right now, when you call ambulance, like less than 5 minutes or 2 minutes they'll be there. But in the city, no, that was not the case. You'll call ambulance, the ambulance will get there when they got there. So anyway, so they decided to walk on and en route to the hospital, while they are saying if the ambulance is coming, the ambulance can catch up with them on the road. So her labor became intense, and then of course she ended up giving birth on the street, right? So when she gave birth on the street, obviously, and then of course the ambulance arrived, she was taken to the hospital, and of course got treated. After some days she came home, and now she's home with the two female friends, two of her female friends helping her with the baby. She doesn't have a job. Rent is a problem, everything. So excuse me guys, excusez-moi. So anyways, two of her friends told her that, you know what, you need to come up with a plan. So one of her friends told her, you know what, I'm gonna advise you. You can decide if you wanna take it or leave it, but this is gonna be for the best interest of the baby. And then she asked what, and then they told her, you know what, why don't we take the baby to a children's home? Because children's home, you know, it is very well kept. The baby will have all the milk that it needs and everything. There are people there to take care of the baby. At least take the baby to the children's home on a temporary basis. While you put yourself together, you get a job, then we will go and take the baby out of the children's home. And then she's like, that sounds like a good idea. So then two of her friends helped her. They went to the children's home. They got registered, and she had to explain to them why she need to bring the baby to the children's home, because she really need to put her life together, and then she'll come back and pick up the baby. And then of course she left the baby there, and then went back and started looking for jobs, and she was able to find something. And then the moment she felt like she was a little bit stable, she went to the children's home to take her baby. When she got there, she could not find the baby. And then first of all, they told her that, oh, this location is closed, you should try a different location. But the location that she had dropped the baby wasn't there. So she went to a different location. Still the baby wasn't there. So she went to different children's home. She could not locate the baby. And then someone told her that maybe they gave the baby for adoption. She could not find any record of where the baby was. So anyway, so of course she continued to look for the baby. Now over 20 years, the boy, I think, is now into his early 30s or so. Yeah, so of course all this year she continued to look for the baby, and she named the baby with the dad's full name. And the reason she did that is she said, you know what, since she thought that maybe one day she will meet the boyfriend again, it makes sense for her to keep to have the baby's full name. So the baby grew up being called with the full name of his dad. And then of course this woman lost touch. Of course she could not find the child, and then apparently someone else picked the baby. Someone else started to bring up the baby, and the baby, of course, they were living in a slum, and the mom that was taking care of the baby ended up dying, and the baby continued to stay. The baby went to a different children's home. The children's home was able to educate the little boy, went to nursery school, primary, secondary, and then the funny thing is the little boy, I don't think it's funny. The blissful thing is that the little boy is actually a very talented artist. He started, getting into the music industry and whatnot. The boy became a very famous artist, has wife and children and all that. So, but the mom that brought him, he grew up thinking the mom that brought him up was his mom. But then this woman continued to look for him. The biological mom continued to look for him over how many years. And then one day, because this woman, she obviously, when she couldn't find her son in the children's home, of course she moved on with her life. She ended up getting married to someone else, having children and whatnot. And then one day, her children came up with some flyers. They said, oh, you know, so and so artist, because the artist is well known. And the kids were like, you know, there's an artist so and so, you know her, you know the artist, mom. The mom is like, yeah, of course I know the artist. Everybody knows the artist. He's like, yeah, so the artist is gonna come to slum and he's gonna be visiting the slums. Because he grew up in the slums, so every now and then he will do charitable things for the slum. He will give gifts, give food, give all kind of things for the slum. So in this particular day, there was flyers going around that he was gonna come. And then the children told their mom that, mom, we need to go, because if they're gonna give us some, you know, some food item or whatnot, so at least there will be more of us to carry those things. And the mom is like, I'm not sure. She just took the flyer and threw it somewhere in the house. And then one day she was cleaning and she saw the flyer. And then she just looked at it, put it back. And then on the day of the event that the artist was coming, the children came again, mom, we need to go, the artist is coming today, we have to go. And then of course her children were insisting. She decided, okay, like, guys, let's go. And then when they got there, the artist like performing, giving speeches, doing his thing. And then when the mom looked at him, he was saying that he just felt something in her stomach. She felt something. And then she's like, this guy could be my son. This guy could be my son. And then decided, but I cannot prove it. So he decided just to pray about it. And then he decided, like, but this guy is so famous. How am I even gonna reach him? So then she decided to go to a well-known pastor. And she went and spoke to the pastor. And obviously, nobody was taking her serious. For over 5 years, her daughters were trying to reach the guy. They are sending messages to the guy. The woman's children are sending messages to him, telling him, you are our brother, you are our step-brother, blah, blah, blah. He's not taking it serious, because obviously when you're a celebrity, so many people get into your DM. Maybe they are saying the truth, maybe they are not saying the truth. But anyways, so he didn't know what to do with the information. And then of course, after 5 years, he decided that, you know what, let me listen to this. So of course, the woman now at this point, she was able to reach a very famous pastor. And the pastor was like, you know what, I'm gonna give you my platform. You can talk to this artist. If this person is actually your child, then God will make a way. But if he's not your child, God will also make a way. Maybe through him, he can help you find your son. And then of course, when the woman get to that pastor, that very well-known man of God, and then of course the artist saw it, and then the artist called the woman back, because of course she had given her detail and told her that, you know what, I've been hearing a lot about you for over 5 years. You're going around saying that I'm your son. I'm getting, DM from some, kids that are telling me that I'm their sibling. So what we need to do is, I need to hear your side of the story. You need to tell me exactly what makes you think I am your son. Hold on, guys, I'll be right back. Okay, so now he's asking the lady, he's like, what makes you think? This thing is very just making my eye water, is this story. So it's like, what makes you think I am your son? And then the woman, of course, started narrating the story, telling him the full name of the person that, who the boyfriend, who's now the boy's dad, and how they met, and how her family did not allow for them to marry because they are from different tribes, how she ended up dropping off the kids in children's home, and when she went back to pick up the child, she could not find the child. She went to different locations, she could not find the child. and she's been looking for the child ever since, blah blah blah. So anyways, so the woman just narrated you know, her side of the story for as much detail as she can remember. So anyways, the artist listened to it, and the artist told her, you know what, there are a lot of things that we can do to you know, to identify if I'm really your son or not. And then he told the woman, what we can do is we will have to do a DNA test, right? When we do the DNA test, if it turns out I'm your son, then we thank God. But if it turns out I am not your son, you need to stop all the social media dragging of saying I'm your son. Well, he didn't put it exactly like this, but yeah. But then he said, you know, we'll go ahead and do DNA. But obviously, then during the time for doing the DNA, he actually called all kind of media houses were there at this particular, was it a clinic or a hospital where they went to do the DNA. So a DNA, they ran the DNA so that they can see if the woman is his mom or not. And also after the DNA, he went and did a lot of grocery shopping for her, and I'm sure he gave her money and everything and all that stuff. So guys, you need to wait for part 2, because DNA result is gonna be out on March 2nd. When is March 2nd? Is it on Monday? So March 2nd, you need to make sure you tune in. If you haven't subscribed, you need to subscribe. March 2nd, you need to get into the realBoldTV, realBoldTV, so you can find out the continuation of this story, to find out what happened. Is Rose really the mother of this famous artist? Yes or no? We are going to find out on March 2nd, guys. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you share this video, and make sure you share part 2. So this is part 1. Don't miss part 2. The story of Rose continue. Wild Rose. This is wild. So anyways, guys, it was nice chatting with you all, and I'll see you all in the next video so that we can continue with part 2. March 2nd is when the DNA result is out. Then we get to know whether Rose is the mom of this famous artist or not. All right, guys, that's it for me, and I'll see you all in the next video. All right, sorry if I was yawning, guys. I am so sleepy, it's so late, but this video had to be shot by fire, by force. Anyways, good night.